Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Friends, we are going to study the words of the Buddha, the real words of the Buddha. Let's all study, investigate, and practice the real words of the Buddha, the sublime Dhamma. This is our weekly Dhamma discussion and meditation session every Thursday from 7 to 8:30 at night, New York time. We meet here. This is our talk number 62. Tonight we are going to discuss another very special discourse delivered by the Buddha. This is from exclamations, udana. It's a particular collection of the discourses of the Buddha. The name of the discourse is Meghiya Sutta. Meghiya Sutta. Meghiya was a name of a monk during the time of the Buddha. Our palatable topic, acceptable topic tonight is defiled thoughts, akusala vitakka in Pali. Akusala vitakka. You might have heard the two terms akusala and kusala. Akusala simply means thoughts. Akusala vitakka means thoughts with greed, hatred and delusion. Akusala. Kusala vitakka means thoughts free from greed, hatred and delusion. Kusala. Akusala and kusala. As long as we have defiled thoughts, akusala thoughts, our mind is defiled. The Buddha clearly said, when the mind is defiled, beings are defiled. When the mind is purified, beings are purified. So, in our mind, there are three types of vitakka, unwholesome thoughts, defiled thoughts. What are the three types of defiled thoughts? Thoughts of sensuality, thoughts of ill will and thoughts of cruelty. These are different discursive thoughts as long as we have these three types of thoughts, our mind is defiled. The Buddhist meditation is to purify our mind with these three types of defilements. If the mind is free from these, completely, entirely free from these three types of thoughts, our mind is purified. The person's mind is liberated. That is what is called liberated mind. The Arahants, the enlightened one. Let's understand this discourse as the Buddha said. Let's come to the discourse. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying among the Chalikans at Chalika mountain. Chalika is the name of the place. And on that occasion, Venerable Meghiya was his attendant. So you might know that the Buddha's famous attendant monk was Venerable Ananda. Before Venerable Ananda, there were some other monks who attended to the Buddha. So Venerable Meghiya was one of his attendants. By that time, Venerable Meghiya was the attendant. Then, when Venerable Meghiya went to the Blessed One and on arrival, having bowed down to him, stood to one side. As he was standing there, he said to the Blessed One, I would like to go into Jantu village. Jantu village is a name of a village. Jantu village for alms. That means this Venerable Meghiya wanted to go from house to house, begin house to house to collect his alms. Then he went to the Buddha and informed the Buddha. Then, do Meghiya what you think it is now time to do. That is what the Buddha said. Then, in the early morning, Venerable Meghiya adjusted his inner robe and carrying his bowl and robes, went into Jantu village for alms. Having gone for alms in Jantu village, after the meal, returning from his alms round, he went to the bank of the Kimikala river. So after his meal, he went to this particular river named Kimikala. As he was walking up and down along the bank of the river to exercise his legs, he saw a pleasing, charming mango grove. Seeing this mango grove, the thought occurred to him. Now, you see, that is what happened to all of us. When we see something, thoughts arise. That is what is called sensual thought. Basically, sensual thoughts arise. Sensual thoughts means thoughts to please our six senses. So whenever we see something pleasing, pleasant, then pleasant thought arises. Sensual thoughts arise. If we see something ugly, dislike, that's where hate arises. Or if you want to do something to hate, to hurt the person, to harm a person or harm anything, where you have thought of cruelty. Those are the three types of thoughts. Now, as this Bhante, as this Venerable, saw this garden, a mango garden, mango grove, his thought arose, a thought arose. How pleasing the charming, how pleasing and charming this mango grove. That was his thought. Now what is the thought? That is sensual thought. Sensual thoughts mean pleasing thoughts. Craving, pleasing, pleasant thought arose in him. Pleasing thought. Pleasing what? Pleasing his eyes. Pleasing the eyes. He wants to please his eyes. That is so sort of gratifying eyes. It's enough for a young man of good family intent on exertion to exert himself in meditation. His idea is good. As he saw this mango grow, he thought, this is a wonderful place for me, for a person to practice meditation. If the Blessed One gives me permission, I would like to exert myself in meditation in this mango grove. That was the idea arose in him. He thought of coming to practice this place. If the Blessed One, if the Buddha gives him permission. So Venerable Meghiya went to the Blessed One and on arrival, having bowed down to him, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, he said to the Blessed One, just now in the early morning, I adjusted my inner robe and carrying my bowl and robes, went into Jantu village for alms. Having gone for alms in Jantu village, after the meal, returning from my alms round, I went to the bank of the Kimikala river. As I was walking up and down along the bank of the river to exercise my legs, I saw a pleasing, charming mango grove. Seeing it, the thought occurred to me, how pleasing and charming this mango grove. It's enough for a young man of good family intent on exertion to exert himself in meditation. If the Blessed One gives me permission, that is his request. If the Blessed One gives me permission, I would like to exert myself in meditation in this mango grove. If the Blessed One gives me permission, I would like to go to the mango grove to exert myself in meditation. That's what he said. When this was said, the Blessed One responded to Venerable Meghiya, as long as I am still alone, stay here until another monk comes. As the Buddha was alone, Buddha said that it is better you stay with me as I am alone, stay with me for a couple minutes or another monk. Stay until another one. That is what the Buddha said. A second time, Venerable Meghiya said to the Blessed One, Lord, the Blessed One has nothing further to do. That is what he says. Lord, the Blessed One has nothing further to do and nothing further to add to what he has done. I, however, have something further to do and something further to add to what I have done. If the Blessed One gives me permission, I would like to go to the mango grove to exert myself in meditation. It's clear, I guess. So, as he has to practice, he wanted to practice, he really wants to practice, that is what he says. He wants to practice. As the Buddha has completed his journey, Buddha has nothing to do further. So, but as he said, he has to practice. That's why he asked this permission. A second time, the Blessed One responded to Venerable Meghiya, "As long as I am still alone, stay here until another monk comes." That the Buddha said this for the second time. Then a third time, Venerable Meghiya said to the Blessed One, "Lord, the Blessed One has nothing further to do and nothing further to add to what he has done. I, however, have something further to do and something further to add to what I have done. If the Blessed One gives me permission, I would like to go to the mango grove to exert myself in meditation." That's for the third time he said that. As you are talking about exertion, Buddha says, as you are talking about exertion, Meghiya, what can we say? What can we say? What can I say? Normally Buddha does not use the word I, my, myself like that. But Buddha has used the word, though in general, Buddha prefers to use the term we instead I. What can we do? What can we say? Do what you think it is now time to do. So Buddha permitted him. Buddha asked him, "Do as it fits to you." That's what the Buddha said. Then Venerable Meghiya, rising from his seat, bowing down to the Blessed One and circling him to the right, went to the mango grove. That's to practice. On arrival, having gone deep into the mango grove, he sat down at the root of a certain tree for the day's abiding. He sat under a tree. Then what happened? Now, while Venerable Meghiya was staying in the mango grove, he was for the most part assailed by three kinds of unskillful thoughts. Unskillful thoughts are the defiled thoughts. Defiled thoughts and unskilled thought. The meaning is same. But unskilled, when you say skillful thoughts and unskillful thoughts, skillful means one's ability. Skillful means ability. When you use defiled thought, I prefer the word defiled thoughts. When the mind is defiled, it is defiled with greed, hatred and delusion. When you use the term unskillful or unskilled, it's not that deep in meaning. That is why I used and I prefer the word defiled thought. Now, defiled thoughts arose in him. What are the defiled thoughts? Thoughts of sensuality, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of doing harm. These are the three types of defiled thoughts we have to understand clearly. Whenever they arise in us, we have to recognize them and cut them off. That is what is called vipassana. Vipassana. In order to understand, in order to recognize them, we must have mindfulness and clear comprehension. We must have wisdom. If we have no mindfulness, we cannot understand when these thoughts arise. So, only these three types of thoughts arise. Whatever thoughts arise, we have to understand these thoughts. These are called discursive thoughts. Discursive thoughts. So, in him, these three types of thoughts arose most of the time. As Venerable Meghiya was staying in the mango grove, he was for the most part, assailed, hit by these three kinds of defiled thoughts. That's the meaning. The thought occurred to him. How amazing. Now he is thinking, how amazing, how astounding. Even though it was through faith that I went forth from home to the homeless life. Still, I am overpowered by these three kinds of defiled thoughts. Thoughts of sensuality, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of doing harm. Thoughts of cruelty. Imagine from his seclusion in the late afternoon. That means he tried to practice meditation. As he wanted to go there and practice meditation, he tried to practice, but he couldn't practice properly. He couldn't practice meditation because these three types of thoughts arose in him. Most part of that day, he could not practice. These three types of thoughts arose. Imagine then, eventually, he understood that he can't practice. He could not practice then. Imagine from his seclusion in the late afternoon, when it was evening, he went to the Blessed One. As he could not practice because of these thoughts, sensual thoughts, ill will thoughts, and cruelty thoughts. He met the Buddha. On arrival, having bowed down to him, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, he said to the Blessed One, just now, while I was staying in the mango grove, I was for the most part assailed by three kinds of defiled thoughts. Of sensuality, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of doing harm. The thought occurred to me, these thoughts. How amazing, how astounding, even though it was through faith that I went forth from home to the homeless life, still I am overpowered by these three kinds of defiled thoughts. Thoughts of sensuality, thoughts of ill will, and thoughts of doing harm. Then the Buddha said, Meghiya, in one whose awareness release is still immature, 5 qualities bring it to maturity. That means, though he wanted to practice, he was not matured enough to practice. He has to have the basic things for the success of his meditation. He was not matured enough to practice meditation in this manner. So the Buddha recommended having these 5 qualities. 5 qualities bring it to maturity. Which 5? These are the 5 qualities. Buddha here points out 5 different qualities to be developed, to be acquired in order to practice properly, practice meditation properly. For the success of meditation, these 5 preliminary qualities are the requirements, are necessary. What are the 5? Let's see. There is the case where a monk has admirable people as friends. That is the first thing to practice meditation. One has to have admirable people, means good friends, true friends. Kalyana mitta. Kalyana mittas, true friends. That is the first thing. Admirable people as friends, companions and colleagues. In one whose awareness release is still immature, this is the first quality that brings it to maturity. If one's quality is immature, so this is the first quality which brings to maturity. What is the first thing? Good friends, associate with good friends. That's the meaning. First you have to have good friends. Then secondly, furthermore, the monk is virtuous. In the case of a monk or any meditator, as the Buddha used the word bhikkhu here, the translator has used the term monk. Though whoever meditator, practitioner should be virtuous. That is the second quality. So first is associate with a good friend, true friend. Second, virtue, be virtuous. You are sealer. In the case of monk, he dwells restrained in accordance with the Patimokha. Patimokha is the collection of rules for monks. It's a collection of 227 rules for monks and nuns. Monks, of course, nuns, there are more than 227. They have 311 nuns, 11 rules for nuns. Consummate in his behavior and range of activity, he trains himself, having undertaken the training rules. Those are what you call training rules. Seen danger in the slightest faults, he should be virtuous. In one whose awareness release is still immature, this is the second quality that brings it to maturity. That is the second quality. So virtuous. Second quality is virtuous. Be virtuous. That is the one. Now, let's see the third one. Furthermore, he gets to hear at will, easily and without difficulty, talk that is truly sovereign and conducive to the opening of awareness. One has to talk, one has to listen, one has to listen to the talks, and one can talk about these different talks, the topics. The Buddha has given 10 topics to talk on. Like meditators, they can talk. This talk should be conducive to the opening of awareness, opening of mindfulness. This topic should be conducive to develop your mindfulness. What are the 10 topics? Talk on modesty. You have to talk on modesty. Then talks on contentment. Third, seclusion. Talk on seclusion. So the meditator should talk on this topic. Not many different things. Not on many different things like politics, war, many different talks. Buddha has given a list of 32 different topics were given on another discourse. Buddha gave 32 different topics which are not suitable for the practitioners to talk on. Here the Buddha recommended 10 topics. Of the 10, first I said modesty, second contentment, third seclusion, fourth non-entanglement, fifth arousing persistence, sixth virtue, seventh concentration, 8 discernment, 9 release, 10 the knowledge and vision of release. Those are the 10 topics to talk on by the practitioners. Now that is the third one. In one whose awareness release is still immature, this is the third quality that brings it to maturity. Furthermore, he keeps his persistence aroused for abandoning unskillful mental qualities and for taking on skillful qualities. He is steadfast, solid in his effort, not shirking his duties with regard to skillful qualities. In one whose awareness release is still immature, this is the fourth quality that brings it to maturity. So that's where one should have persistence aroused for abandoning unskillful qualities. That is persistence. Ardent, practice ardently. Should be able to practice ardently. That is the meaning. That's the fourth one. Furthermore, he is discerning, endowed with the discernment related to arising and passing away. Discernment, wisdom. He should have wisdom. Wisdom to understand arising and passing away, the nature of arising and passing. That is what is called noble penetrating, ability to penetrate things, leading to the right ending of stress. But those are the qualities. In one whose awareness release is still immature, this is the fifth quality that brings it to maturity. So those are the 5 qualities to be developed basically, fundamentally by the practitioners for the success of meditation. Meghiya, in one whose awareness release is still immature, these are the 5 qualities that bring it to maturity, the Buddha said. Further, the Buddha said, Meghiya, when a monk has admirable people as friends, companions and colleagues, it is to be expected that he will be virtuous, will dwell restrained in accordance with the Patimukha consummate in this behavior and range of activity, and will train himself, having undertaken the training rules, seen danger in the slightest faults. When a monk has admirable people as friends and colleagues, it is to be expected that he will get to hear at will, easily and without difficulty, talk that is truly sovereign and conducive to opening of awareness, that is, talk on modesty, contentment, seclusion, non-entanglement, arousing persistence, virtue, concentration, discernment, release, and the knowledge and vision of release. So this, as the Buddha says, if one has this admirable people, good friends, admirable people as friends, companions and colleagues, they can get this benefit. When a monk has admirable people as friends, companions and colleagues, it is to be expected that he will keep his persistence aroused for abandoning unskillful qualities and for taking on skillful qualities, steadfast, solid in his effort, not shirking his duties with regard to skillful qualities. When a monk has admirable people as friends, companions and colleagues, it is to be expected that he will be discerning, endowed with the discernment relating to arising and passing away, noble, penetrating, leading to the right ending of stress. So those are the benefits of having admirable people. That is a very important thing. It's a must to practice. And furthermore, when the monk is established in these 5 qualities, there are 4 additional qualities he should develop. Now, Buddha gave 5 qualities to be developed first. Now the Buddha introduces 4 more things 4 more qualities to be developed. What are the 4 qualities? Let's see. He should develop contemplation of the unattractive, so as to abandon passion. Passion. We have passion, lustful thoughts, passion. With passion you cannot meditate properly. Therefore, in order to curb your passion, curb your lust, you have to practice this meditation, which is called unattractiveness or non-attractiveness, or in other words, repulsiveness. You have to practice that to understand the nature of things, nature of this body. That is why the Buddha recommended to observe the 32 parts of the body. And then, after contemplating oneself, one can compare it with others as well, in order to understand the unattractiveness, repulsiveness, where one can curb, one can cut off what you call passion, lust. So that meditation is to be practiced. Repulsiveness of the body. Second one, he should develop good will so as to abandon ill will. In order to abandon ill will, one has to practice good will, metta, love and friendliness. Love and friendliness meditation is to be practiced. That is the meaning. The third one, he should develop mindfulness of in and out breathing so as to cut off thinking, discursive thoughts. In order to cut off discursive thoughts, one has to practice mindfulness of breathing. That is the third factor to be developed. Third quality to be developed. Then he should develop the perception of inconsistency so as to uproot the conceit I am. In order to uproot, in order to cut off perception of inconsistency, to uproot, to cut off the conceit, mana, asmi mana, I am thinking, it's me, I am, to curb, to cut off, to uproot this conceit. One has to practice persistence of inconstancy means anicca, impermanence. Practice this meditation, impermanence. Those are the four qualities. Inconstancy. For a monk, perceiving inconstancy, the perception of not self is made steady. One perceiving not self attains the uprooting of the conceit I am, unbinding right in the here and now. That is what happens when practice this meditation. Anicca sanya, anicca, impermanence, perception of impermanence. Practice perception of impermanence. That is the meaning. When practice this, what happens? When practice this, one can experience non-self, not self. The nature of not self, non-self, and attains the uprooting of the conceit I am. That means one can then uproot the conceit I am, then unbinding right in the here and now. Unbinding means nibbana. This translation is a bit different. So unbinding means attaining enlightenment here in this very world. That is the meaning. Then on realizing the significance of that, the Blessed One on that occasion exclaimed. The Buddha said this: little thoughts, subtle thoughts, discursive thoughts, whether they are little thoughts or subtle thoughts, subtle thoughts, when followed, stir up the heart, whether they are little ones or subtle ones, whether they are big or small, little or large, whatever. Not comprehending the thoughts of the heart, one runs here and there, the mind out of control. That is what happens when we have thoughts these discursive thoughts, what's happened? Our mind is uncontrollable, out of control. But comprehending, it is because of not comprehending these thoughts, our mind is out of control. But if we can understand, if we can comprehend these thoughts, being mindful, if we can understand these thoughts, but comprehending the thoughts of the heart, one who is ardent, mindful, restrains them. Being mindful, ardent, one can restrain them. When followed, they do not stir up the heart. They do not stir up the mind. Then one can control this mind. With that, one awakened lets them go. Let them go without trace, without any trace. One can completely, entirely, totally cut them off. That is the Buddha's instruction. Buddha said, give up, abandon these thoughts. If one can completely, entirely abandon these three types of thoughts, one can attain supreme bliss here in this very world. That is the meaning. Friends, let's all understand this wonderful teachings of the Buddha. As we all got together, we observe precepts, recited the recitations to venerate the triple gem, and practice meditation, and thereafter we discuss this discourse. By doing this, we all acquire a great deal of merit. Now let's share this merit with our dearly departed relatives. May all our dearly departed relatives, including our parents, rejoice this merit. May their sansaric journey be peaceful. May we all attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu.